The stars were quiet that night and cold, distant, and endless. Commander Ryan Hale stared at them through the cracked glass of his ship's cockpit, trying to hold control as alarms screamed around him. The Starseeker 9 spun through the void like a broken arrow. Flames licked the hull, warning lights flashed red, and every system in the ship shouted one single truth. He was going down. Engine failure. Oxygen levels dropping? Hull breach detected, the computer's calm voice said, as if it wasn't announcing his death. Ryan's hands gripped the controls tightly. "Come on, baby, hold together," he muttered through clenched teeth. His knuckles turned white as he tried to slow the descent. Outside, a huge planet filled the window, a swirling mass of gray storms and blue lightning. There were no signs of cities, no orbiting stations, nothing. Just a lonely, storm-choked world. The ship hit the upper atmosphere. The heat shield screamed. The hull shook so violently that Ryan's teeth rattled. The flames outside turned the cockpit into a glowing furnace. Then, in one last flash of light, everything went black. When Ryan opened his eyes, everything was silent. The only sound was the faint crackle of fire and the hiss of leaking gas. His head throbbed. Smoke hung in the air, and the smell of burnt metal filled his lungs. He unstrapped himself from the pilot's seat and fell to the floor. His vision swam for a moment, then cleared. The cockpit was half gone. The right side of the ship had been torn open, revealing a vast desert outside. The sky was dark gray, filled with thick mist that glowed faintly blue like trapped lightning. "Computer," Ryan said weakly, coughing. "Status, no response. Only static." He checked his wrist display, oxygen 27%, communications offline, life support minimal. The Starseeker 9 had become his coffin. Ryan stumbled toward the opening. The ground outside looked strange, like glass melted into sand. Every few seconds, bright flashes of lightning lit the landscape in cold, ghostly light. He stepped out, boots sinking slightly into the cracked surface. The air was heavy. His helmet sensors beeped. Toxic atmosphere. "Remove helmet, fatal in 30 seconds. "Figures," Ryan said quietly. He looked around. The wreck stretched across the dunes like the bones of a giant creature. Twisted metal, shattered panels, and burning fuel cells were scattered across the landscape. Somewhere, far off, a storm rumbled like a growl. He needed to move, find cover, find anything. He walked away from the ship, each step echoing in the emptiness. There was no sound of life. No movement. Only the endless mist. But then, something strange happened. His suit's scanner picked up a faint sound. It wasn't wind, it wasn't static. It was a voice. At first he thought it was in his head, a memory, a trick of the concussion. But the sound came again, soft and distant, carried by the mist. "Ryan." He froze. His heart skipped a beat. He turned in a slow circle, scanning the area. "Hello?" he called out. His voice echoed back, "Nothing." He increased the scanner's range. The sound repeated. "Ryan, don't be afraid." The voice was gentle, almost human, but not quite. There was a strange echo in it, like two people speaking in unison. Ryan's pulse raced. No one should know his name here. He was thousands of light years from any human colony. "Who's there?" he shouted. "Identify yourself." The mist shifted in front of him, glowing faintly. For a second he thought he saw movement, a shadow, tall and thin, gliding through the haze. Then it vanished. He stepped forward slowly. "If someone's out there, I mean no harm." Silence again. Then the voice whispered, closer this time, almost beside his ear. "You came back." After so long, Ryan spun around, blaster raised. "Show yourself!" The mist parted. For a heartbeat, he saw a shape, a woman or something like one. Her skin glowed faint silver, her eyes bright blue like stars trapped in water. She stood still, her long hair floating slightly as if underwater. Then, as lightning flashed across the sky, she was gone. Ryan blinked, lowering his weapon slightly. What the hell was that? The scanner showed no reading. No life signs, no heat, no movement. He swallowed hard, trying to steady his breath. "Get it together, Hale. You're just seeing things." But deep down, he knew he wasn't imagining it. The voice had said his name. He turned back toward the wreck, planning to set up a distress beacon. But before he could move, the voice returned, closer, clearer, and filled with quiet sadness. "You shouldn't have come here. But now you cannot leave." A cold wind swept over the desert. The mist around him began to swirl, glowing brighter. His helmet sensors flashed warning after warning. Unidentified energy detected. He aimed his blaster into the haze, ready to fire. But the mist moved faster, circling him like a living thing. The voice whispered one last time. "You are the first human I've seen in a very long time, Ryan Hale." And just before darkness swallowed his vision, he thought he saw her again, standing over him, eyes full of light, whispering words he could barely hear. "Don't be afraid." Then everything faded into silence. When Ryan Hale opened his eyes again, the world was gray and silent. The storm had passed, leaving behind a strange calm. A cold wind moved across the broken ground, carrying blue dust that glowed faintly in the dark. His head hurt and his vision was blurred. For a moment, he thought he was back on Earth, lost in a dream. But then he saw the twisted metal of his ship and remembered where he was. Alone, on an unknown planet. He tried to move, groaning as pain shot through his leg. His helmet display blinked red, oxygen level at 19%. Time was running out. He pressed a few buttons on his wrist screen, activating an emergency signal, but the screen only flickered weakly. There was still no network, no sound, no help. Then a voice broke the silence. "You are awake." Ryan froze. The voice was clear this time, soft, almost musical, but it carried an echo that made it sound both near and far at once. He turned his head. A few meters away, the mist began to thicken. Slowly, a figure stepped out from the haze. It was her, the same being he thought he had imagined before. She was tall, almost his height, her body slender and covered in a faint silvery light that pulsed softly like a heartbeat. Her hair shimmered as if made of strands of energy, flowing even though there was no wind. Her eyes, bright blue, deep and endless, watched him with both sadness and curiosity. Ryan's heart pounded in his chest. Who are you?" he asked, his voice hoarse. The woman tilted her head slightly. "You do not remember us," she said quietly. "But your kind once walked among my people." He frowned. "Your people? I've never been here before." Her lips curved in a faint, almost broken smile. "No, but your ancestors were here long ago. They built cities beneath the dust. They made promises, and then they left." Ryan tried to process her words. "That's impossible. Humans never colonized this world. There are no records." She stepped closer, her feet barely making a sound on the glassy ground. "Records can be erased," she said softly, "but memories cannot." Ryan raised his blaster slightly, more out of fear than threat. "Stay back," he said. She stopped, her glowing eyes meeting his. "You are afraid," she whispered. "All humans are." "I'm not afraid," Ryan lied. She looked down as if she could hear his heartbeat. "Then why do your hands shake?" Ryan glanced at his own hand, and she was right. It trembled. For a moment they just stood there, the mist swirling between them like a living thing. Then she said something that made his breath catch. "You are the first human who did not run when you saw me." Her voice trembled slightly. The others screamed. "They burned themselves trying to escape my touch." Ryan lowered his weapon, confusion filling his mind. "What are you talking about?" Her eyes glowed brighter. "My kind was cursed by human hands," she said. "We were born of your science, half energy, half flesh. But your creators feared what they had made. They left us here to die." Ryan felt a chill crawl down his spine. "So you're saying humans made you?" "Yes." Her voice broke slightly. "And they destroyed us when we became something they could not understand." The wind howled through the wreck, echoing her pain. Ryan looked at her again, this time with something different in his eyes. Not fear, but pity. "If that's true, then I'm sorry," he said quietly. "But I'm not one of them. I don't even know what happened here." She studied him closely as if searching for lies. "Perhaps not," she whispered. "But your blood carries their mark." She lifted her hand slowly, light trailing from her fingers. "Come closer." Ryan took a small step forward, unsure why he obeyed. Every part of his training told him to keep distance. Every instinct screamed that she was dangerous. But there was something in her eyes, loneliness maybe, or hope, that pulled him toward her. When he stood only a few feet away, she whispered, "Do not touch me." Ryan stopped, confused. "If you touch me, you will die," she said. Her voice cracked slightly as though she had said those words too many times before. Ryan hesitated. "Then why call me closer?" Her gaze softened. "Because I wanted to see, if you would." For a long moment they stared at each other through the mist. The silence stretched between them like a fragile thread. Then Ryan said quietly, "I'm not afraid of you." Her glowing eyes widened slightly. "You should be." He took one more step forward, slowly, carefully, and held out his hand. The mist glowed brighter. The air trembled, and when his fingers brushed hers instead of pain or fire, there was warmth, real warmth, gentle and human. Her eyes filled with light. For the first time, her expression changed from sorrow to wonder. "You're the first human," she whispered, voice shaking, "who didn't fear to touch me." The world around them seemed to pause. The blue mist pulsed softly, responding to the energy between them. Ryan felt his heartbeat steady as if the planet itself was listening. But deep beneath the silence, something stirred, a distant low hum coming from the ground. Neither of them noticed. The planet had awakened. For a long time, neither of them spoke. The strange blue mist hung still around them, glowing softly as if it was holding its breath. Ryan could still feel the warmth of her touch on his glove. It wasn't like touching metal or plasma or skin. It felt like holding a spark that somehow didn't burn. It was alive. The woman's eyes were fixed on his hand. Her glowing fingers trembled slightly as if she couldn't believe what had just happened. You touched me," she whispered. Her voice shook with disbelief and fear. "And you did not die." Ryan lowered his hand slowly. "Guess I'm just lucky," he said with a weak smile, though his voice cracked from exhaustion. She took a step back, still staring at him. "No human has ever survived contact with my kind. The last one who tried turned to ash before my eyes." Ryan felt a chill run through him, but he forced himself to stand tall. "Well, maybe I'm not like the others," he said quietly. "And maybe you're not like the others either." Her expression changed. The glow in her eyes softened. "Not like the others," she repeated, almost as if she was testing the words. He could see that she wanted to believe that. The wind rose again, carrying a low hum that came from beneath the ground. The sound was deep, almost like the heartbeat of the planet itself. Ryan looked around nervously. "What is that sound?" The woman turned her gaze toward the horizon. "The planet remembers," she said softly. "When you touched me, it felt your pulse. It knows a human heart beats here again." Ryan frowned. "You talk like the planet is alive." Her blue eyes glimmered. "It is. It was made to be alive, made by your people." Ryan stepped closer, studying her face. "You keep saying my people. What did they do?" She hesitated. Her expression darkened, and for a moment the light around her dimmed. "They came here long ago," she said. "They built cities under the ground and filled them with light. They called themselves creators. They shaped the air, the soil, and even my people." Ryan's breath caught. "You mean humans made your species?" Her voice grew colder. "They made us, yes, but when we began to change, they grew afraid. We were too strong, too different. They called us abominations. They left us behind with their dying machines." The hum beneath them grew louder. Ryan felt the vibration through his boots. "So that's what this place is, a graveyard of their work." She nodded slowly. "A graveyard, yes. And I am one of the few who remain." Ryan felt the weight of her words press down on him. He wanted to say something comforting. But what could he possibly say to someone who had been abandoned for centuries? Instead, he asked softly, "What's your name?" The woman looked surprised, as if no one had asked her that in a very long time. "My name," she said slowly, "is Lyra." "Lyra," he repeated, testing the sound. "That's beautiful." She tilted her head slightly. "Your words carry kindness," she said. "But kindness cannot save you here. This planet will not let you leave now." Ryan's pulse quickened. "Why not?" She looked down at her hands, the same hands that had glowed when he touched her. "Because when you touched me," she whispered, "you changed something." The mist around them began to swirl again, faster this time. The light inside it pulsed brighter, almost angry. Ryan stepped back. "What's happening?" Lyra's expression tightened. "The energy. It senses you. The planet thinks you are trying to take what was once stolen from it." Ryan stared at her, confused. "Take what?" "Life," she said simply. "The humans drained it from this world to build their machines. And when they left, the planet sealed itself shut, waiting to heal. But your presence woke it up." The ground trembled beneath them. Cracks of blue light ran through the glassy surface, spreading like veins of lightning. Ryan staggered, trying to keep balance. "Lyra, what do we do?" He shouted over the rising hum. Her eyes glowed bright now, too bright to look at. "You must not stay here. The planet will test you. It will see if you are worthy to walk on its surface." Ryan frowned. "And if I'm not?" She looked at him with something between fear and sorrow. "Then it will take you." Suddenly, the ground beneath Ryan's feet gave way. He fell to his knees as the mist thickened, swallowing him whole. He could hear whispers in the air now. Hundreds of them, maybe thousands, all speaking in the same strange voice. Human. Return what was taken. Human. The debt is not forgiven. He felt pressure all around him, like invisible hands pushing on his chest. His visor flickered, his oxygen meter flashing red. Lyra rushed forward, kneeling beside him. "Hold on!" she cried. She pressed her glowing hands to his helmet, and the voices went silent. For a few seconds, there was only her light. When the mist cleared, Ryan was lying on the ground, gasping for breath. Lyra was beside him, her face pale and trembling. "You saved me," he said weakly. Her voice was quiet, almost breaking. "No, you saved me first." Ryan met her eyes, seeing tears that shimmered like liquid stars. "You are the first human," she whispered, "who touched me and lived. And now the planet wants to know why." Above them, lightning cracked across the gray sky, blue, bright, and endless. The test had begun. The sky above was restless, rolling with silver clouds that flashed with silent lightning. The air buzzed faintly like it carried whispers from the past. Ryan Hale sat beside a cracked pillar of dark stone, trying to steady his breath. His helmet visor flickered with static, but his eyes stayed fixed on Lyra. She was sitting across from him, her glowing form dimmed as if she was fading. The light that had once danced around her now flickered weakly, pulsing like a dying ember. Ryan broke the silence. "You said the planet will test me. What does that mean?" Lyra didn't answer right away. She pressed her hand against the glowing ground, her fingers leaving trails of light that spread like veins through the dirt. "The planet is alive," she said softly. "It feels everything. When a life form touches its surface, it knows their truth. Their fear. Their past," Ryan frowned. "Then it knows I'm not the one who hurt it." She looked up at him, sadness in her glowing eyes. "It doesn't care. To it, all humans are the same. You carry their blood, their mark, their curse." Ryan stood up, brushing dust from his suit. "Then I'll show it I'm different." Her voice trembled. "You cannot fight what you do not understand." The wind picked up, carrying a low hum again. Ryan turned toward the horizon and saw faint blue lights moving in the mist, shapes that looked like people, but not quite human. They flickered like holograms, their faces blurred and distant. He pointed. "What are those?" Lyra followed his gaze. Her voice was little more than a whisper. "Ghosts of my kind," Ryan stared. "You mean, they're dead?" "Not dead," she said. "Trapped. Between life and nothing. We were made from energy, bound to the heart of this planet. When the humans left, they broke the connection. Our forms became unstable. We could not hold our shape. Every time we tried to touch them, they burned." Ryan took a slow step closer to her. "You mean that's what you are, part human, part energy?" "Yes," she said quietly. "Born of two worlds, belonging to neither. The humans wanted soldiers who could not die, workers who did not tire, minds that could hold light itself, but we were too alive. We felt too much. They called it a flaw." Her eyes glowed brighter as she spoke, anger flickering like fire. "They shut down the reactors that kept our energy stable. Our bodies began to fade. One by one, we turned to light and then nothing. Only I remain in this form because I hid myself inside the planet's core, near its pulse." Ryan listened, his heart heavy. He had read stories of failed experiments, but nothing like this. "You've been alone all this time?" he asked softly. Lyra nodded. "For centuries. Watching the sky. Waiting for someone who would not fear to touch me. Every human before you came with weapons and shields. They looked at me as if I were a ghost. Some tried to study me, others tried to destroy me, but all of them feared what they had made." Her gaze met his. "Until you." Ryan didn't know what to say. He looked down at his gloved hand, the same one that had touched her without harm. "You said no human ever survived touching you. Why didn't I die?" Lyra hesitated. "There is something inside you," she said slowly. "Something different. When I touched you, I felt it. Your blood hums with radiation. Energy not from this world. It shields you. Ryan's eyes widened slightly. The nebula. The what? She asked. My last mission, he said. I flew through a charged nebula. The radiation levels were off the charts. My body absorbed some of it. My doctor said it changed my cells, but I didn't believe them. Lyra stood up, moving closer. It changed you, she said. That energy is what my people once used to stay alive. You carry the spark that can heal us. Ryan took a step back, overwhelmed. Heal you? I don't even know what's happening here. She reached out a trembling hand, but stopped herself before touching him again. You don't have to know. You only have to choose. Choose what? To help me, she whispered. To help us. The air grew colder. The mist around them started to pulse again, glowing brighter. From the shadows, the ghostly figures began to drift closer, their shapes flickering like candlelight. Ryan could see their faces now, frozen expressions of pain, sorrow, and longing. Lyra turned toward them. They're calling to me, she said. They feel your light. They think it's hope. Ryan's voice was low. What will happen if they reach us? Her eyes glimmered with tears that shone like stars. If they touch you, they'll drain you dry. They don't mean to, but they're hungry for life. The blue shapes drew nearer, whispering in voices that sounded like wind. Ryan could feel the air vibrating around him, his visor flashing warnings. Lyra, what do we do? He asked. She closed her eyes. Run. Ryan didn't hesitate. He grabbed her arm, her form solid this time, and pulled her along as they ran through the mist. The ground cracked under their feet, glowing lines of energy spreading with every step. Behind them, the ghosts followed like a wave of blue fire. As they fled toward the distant ruins, Ryan shouted over the roaring wind. Where are we going? Lyra's voice was faint but certain. To the heart of the planet. To the place where it all began. Ryan looked back once. The ghosts were still following, their light growing brighter, their whispers louder. And in that moment he realized something terrifying. They weren't chasing Lyra, they were chasing him. The ruins appeared out of the mist like broken teeth, jagged and glowing faintly blue from within. Ryan Hale slowed his pace, chest heaving, his boots crunching on cracked glass and ash. Behind him, the ghostly lights had vanished, swallowed by the fog. The silence was heavy again, but it was not peace. It was the quiet before revelation. Lyra stopped a few steps ahead, her form shimmering weakly. We're here, she said softly. The city of my ancestors. Ryan looked around. The structures were enormous, pillars of black stone carved with strange circular markings. Some still pulsed with light, others had collapsed into pits that led down into darkness. He shined his helmet light toward one of them and saw smooth metallic walls far below, glimmering faintly under the dust. This doesn't look natural, Ryan said. These weren't built by your kind. Lyra turned to him, her eyes glowing faintly. No, they were built by yours. Her words hung in the air like a blade. Ryan frowned. Humans, that's impossible. This planet is outside our known colonies. Lyra walked toward a nearby wall and touched the stone. Symbols lit up where her fingers met the surface. Lines of glowing human letters mixed with alien runes. Project Helios. Experimental biosynthesis. Laboratory. Ryan froze. Project Helios. He whispered the name like a ghost from a forgotten war. That was an old military science program. Classified. Lost over 200 years ago. She looked at him. Not lost, buried. He stepped closer, reading the rusted plaque beneath the glowing words. There was a human insignia, a faded eagle holding a sun in its claws. The same emblem Ryan had worn on his flight suit. The realization hit him like a blow to the chest. My organization built this place. Lyra nodded slowly. Yes, they came seeking to control life itself. They wanted to merge energy and flesh to create beings who could survive any world, any war. Ryan's throat went dry. You, yes, she said. We were their children, born from light and blood. They called us the Radiant. The name carried both pride and sorrow. Ryan stepped back, overwhelmed. This can't be true. No one remembers this. There are no records of this project existing. She looked at him sadly, because they erased it. When they failed to control us, they destroyed the archives, but not before they left their mark. She turned and pointed deeper into the ruins where a massive doorway stood half open. The truth lies inside. Ryan followed her cautiously. As they entered, the air changed. It was warmer, filled with a faint hum like the beating of a heart. The walls were metal, not stone, and covered in faded control panels. Dust coated everything, but some of the screens still flickered with faint light. Lyra moved ahead gracefully, her glow illuminating old human writing. Biogenesis Core. Do not enter without authorization. Ryan brushed his gloved hand over the words. Authorization, he muttered bitterly. As if anyone's left to enforce it, they descended a narrow stairway step by echoing step until they reached a vast chamber. In the center was a towering machine, covered in thick cables and crystalline growths. It looked half alive, half mechanical, like a heart carved from both metal and bone. Ryan approached it carefully. What is this? Lyra stood beside him, staring at it with both fear and awe. The heart of the planet, she said. The machine that bound us to this world. It feeds on the planet's energy and returns it as life. But when your kind abandoned us, it began to die. Now it barely remembers what it was meant to do. Ryan ran a hand over the smooth surface. It pulsed faintly beneath his glove. You said your people were trapped between life and death. Maybe this thing is the reason why. Lyra nodded. It holds the link between the material and the light. When the humans cut their connection, the machine lost balance. It drew energy from us instead to keep itself alive. So it's been feeding on you, Ryan said grimly. Yes, she whispered. And soon it will consume what little remains. Ryan looked around the chamber again. On the walls he saw shapes that made his stomach twist. Rows of human skeletons encased in crystal, their faces frozen in horror. Each one was connected to the machine by glowing wires. My God, he breathed. They didn't just abandon the project. They died here. Lyra's voice was almost a whisper. They tried to shut the heart down, but it was already awake. It would not allow itself to die. The ground trembled faintly as if the machine could hear them. Blue light crawled along the walls and a voice, not human, not machine, echoed faintly through the room. Human signature detected. DNA match compatible. Ryan's heart raced. What did it just say? Lyra stepped back, her eyes wide. It recognizes you. Before he could move, a column of light burst from the center of the heart, surrounding him. His suit crackled, his visor went white, and he felt warmth spreading through his veins. The same warmth he had felt when touching Lyra. The machine's voice deepened, layered, and ancient. Subject, Hale Ryan, lineage confirmed. Descendant of creator class. Restoration possible. Ryan struggled to speak. Descendant? I'm not. The voice ignored him. Energy source compatible. Merge required for planetary stabilization. Lyra reached for him, her hands glowing. Ryan, it's trying to use you. I can stop it, he shouted, though his body felt heavy like the light was pulling him inward. No, she cried, her voice breaking. It doesn't want to stop, it wants to become you. The chamber shook violently. Sparks rained down as the heart pulsed faster, brighter. Lyra grabbed his arm, her energy surging around them both. If it merges with you, you'll never be human again. Ryan looked into her eyes, those bright, endless eyes, and whispered, maybe being human isn't enough anymore. The light swallowed them both, and deep beneath the surface of the forgotten planet, the heart began to beat again. The light was endless. It wrapped around Ryan like water, thick and bright, filling his lungs and mind with heat. He couldn't see, couldn't move. The sound of his heartbeat faded until all that remained was the deep, rhythmic pulse of the heart, steady, ancient, alive. Then a voice echoed inside his head. You carry the blood of those who made me. You are the key to rebirth. Ryan tried to speak, but his words dissolved into the glow. I didn't make you, he thought, his voice trembling. I'm not them. You are their echo. You are enough. The light flared and visions poured into his mind. Images of humans in white suits building towers of energy, smiling as the radiant were born, then panic, fire, and screams as the experiments turned against them. The humans fled underground, but the heart kept pulsing, feeding on everything that lived. Ryan saw Lyra, younger, standing among her people as they turned to light and vanished. Alone, she fell to her knees before the glowing machine. He gasped, his voice breaking through the void. Lyra. The light dimmed slightly. She appeared in front of him, her silver form flickering. Her face was filled with fear. Ryan, you have to fight it. He struggled to focus. It's pulling me in, it wants to merge. Lyra reached for him, her hands glowing with soft blue light. If it merges with you, it will use your energy to restart itself. You'll lose everything. Your mind, your body, your humanity. The machine's voice thundered again. Merge complete, restoration imminent. The ground trembled. The air shimmered. Energy surged through Ryan's veins, each pulse burning like fire. His memories flashed before his eyes. His crew, his ship, his sister waiting on Earth. All of it began to blur. Lyra pressed her forehead to his helmet, her voice desperate. You have to resist. You are not them. You are you. Ryan's body glowed now. His veins lit up like rivers of light. I can't stop it, he whispered. It's inside me. Her eyes filled with tears of blue light. Then I'll go with you. He looked at her, startled. What? If the heart needs a balance, then I will be that balance. You are human and I am what they made. Together we can make it remember what it was meant to be. Ryan shook his head weakly. No, Lyra, it'll destroy you. She smiled sadly. I've already lived too long in silence. Let me do this. The heart pulsed faster, sensing resistance. Energy lashes cracked through the chamber, tearing stone and metal apart. The walls glowed with ancient human text, now burning unreadable from the heat. Merge, balance, rebirth. Ryan's mind began to fade again. But this time he didn't fight alone. Lyra's hands pressed against his chest plate and light flowed between them. Blue from her, golden from him. The two colors intertwined, swirling like twin flames. The heart hesitated, its voice breaking with static. Unstable input detected. Lyra's voice was calm now, almost peaceful. Do you trust me, Ryan? He looked into her eyes, seeing both fear and faith reflected there. Yes, he whispered, then close your eyes. He obeyed. The world exploded in light. For a moment there was nothing. No pain, no weight, no sound. Ryan felt himself falling through space, through memories not his own. He saw Lyra's world before it fell, a place of shimmering rivers and cities made of light. He saw humans walking among her kind, laughing together, sharing knowledge. Then came the betrayal, the shutdown, the silence, the screams. Ryan reached out through the vision and found Lyra's hand in the blinding glow. Their fingers met. The warmth returned, not burning but steady. It felt right. Suddenly everything snapped back. The heart shuddered, its hum breaking into 1,000 notes of song. The energy that had once been violent now moved in harmony. The blue and gold light merged into white, spreading across the chamber, racing through the ruins above. On the surface, the mist lifted for the first time in centuries. The glass dunes began to shimmer with color, glowing with the pulse of new life. The planet itself seemed to breathe again. Inside the chamber, the machine quieted. The voice was softer now, no longer demanding. Balance restored. Planet reborn. Then silence. When the light faded, Ryan lay on the floor, his helmet shattered, his body still. Beside him knelt Lyra, her form now half-human, skin pale, eyes still glowing faintly. She reached out, brushing her fingers along his face. Ryan, she whispered, wake up. For a long moment, there was no response. Then he inhaled sharply, gasping for air. His eyes opened slowly, glowing faintly gold. Lyra, he said weakly. You're human. She smiled through tears. And you are something more. He sat up, looking around. The chamber walls were covered in vines of light, pulsing gently like veins under skin. The heart stood silent now, no longer a monster but a monument, still, alive, and calm. Ryan touched the surface of the heart. It pulsed once under his hand, almost like gratitude. Lyra looked at him. You changed it. He shook his head. We did. Outside, the storm had ended. The air shimmered with faint colors as the planet slowly began to heal. But even in the beauty of that moment, Ryan could feel something inside him changing, something deep and endless. His blood hummed with light. His heart beat in rhythm with the planet's. He looked at Lyra, and in her glowing eyes he saw both the beginning and the end. The planet lives again, she whispered. But the universe will come to see what we've done. Ryan looked up at the distant stars through the broken ceiling and said quietly, Then let them come. And somewhere deep beneath them, the heart of the planet pulsed one last time, slow, calm, and full of promise. The sky had changed. Where once there had been only gray clouds and storms, now a golden dawn stretched across the horizon. The air shimmered with threads of light, soft and alive. The dead planet breathed again. The ground beneath Ryan Hale's feet pulsed faintly, like the slow heartbeat of something vast, something reborn. He stood at the mouth of the ancient chamber, looking out across the wasteland that no longer looked dead. Crystals glowed in the sand like scattered stars, and rivers of light traced through the valleys. The mist that had haunted the land for centuries was gone, burned away by warmth and color. Beside him stood Lyra, but she was not as she had been. Her silver glow was softer now, replaced with warm human skin that shimmered faintly in the sunlight. Her hair still carried a trace of luminescence like starlight caught in motion, and her eyes, those deep blue, endless eyes, held both joy and sorrow. She looked fragile and eternal all at once. Ryan turned to her. "You look," he hesitated, searching for the right word. "Alive." Lyra smiled faintly. "I feel alive," she said. "For the first time in centuries." She reached down, brushing her hand over the glowing soil. "Do you hear it?" she asked. Ryan listened. Faintly, beneath the wind, he could hear voices, soft, melodic, like a chorus singing from far away. The sound wasn't human, yet it carried warmth, like laughter and sunlight. "What is that?" he asked quietly. Lyra's smile widened. "My people." The light in the air began to shift, gathering into faint shapes that shimmered like reflections on water. The figures of the radiant appeared all around them. Hundreds, maybe thousands, no longer ghostly or broken. Their bodies were solid now, made of light and matter intertwined. They stood tall, graceful, their eyes glowing like stars. Ryan's breath caught. "They're back," and yes, Lyra whispered. "The heart awoke them. Your energy completed the cycle. You gave them balance." He looked around, wonder flooding through him. The once dead city now pulsed with light, every broken tower glowing as the radiant emerged from within. The planet itself seemed to hum in joy, but amidst that beauty Ryan felt something stir inside him, something he couldn't explain. His veins still glowed faintly beneath his skin. The heart's energy hadn't left him. It was part of him now. He turned his hands over, watching the golden light pulse from his palms. "Lyra," he said quietly, "I don't think I'm just human anymore." Lyra looked at him with sadness in her eyes. "You carry the spark of creation now," she said. "You are both human and radiant. You belong to both worlds and to neither." Ryan laughed softly, though there was no humor in it. "So I'm a bridge." "A bridge," she echoed, "or a warning?" He frowned. "A warning?" She looked up at the sky, her expression distant. When the heart awoke, it sent out a pulse across the stars. Every machine that ever carried human code will have heard it. Every colony, every ship that still listens for echoes from the past, they will know something woke here. Ryan followed her gaze. Above them, the stars burned brighter than before, their light shimmering in strange patterns. "Then they'll come." "Yes," she said quietly, "and they will fear what they find." He was silent for a long moment. Then softly he said, "Let them come." Lyra turned to him, eyes shimmering. "You would face them? The ones who made and destroyed my people?" Ryan nodded. "If they come to destroy, they'll have to go through me. And if they come to understand, then maybe we can finally fix what was broken." For a moment she only looked at him, as if memorizing every line of his face. Then she stepped closer and placed her hand against his chest. Her touch was warm now, human warm. "You are the first human who didn't fear me," she said softly. "And the last who ever needs to." Ryan covered her hand with his own. "No one should fear life," he said. "Not when it's this beautiful." The light around them grew brighter as the radiant gathered, their eyes glowing in unison. A great sound filled the air, a harmony of thousands of voices singing in a language older than stars. It wasn't music, not in the human sense. It was life expressing itself through sound. The sky responded. Golden light cascaded down like rain. The planet shimmered as if washed clean. Lyra turned to her people, raising her hand. "The time of silence is over," she said. "The world breathes again. We are no longer shadows of creation. We are the light that endures." The radiant bowed their heads, their bodies glowing brighter. Ryan stood beside her, the golden light from his veins merging with the blue of her aura until they became white, pure and steady. The heart of the planet pulsed one final time beneath their feet, a sound that echoed through the mountains and into the stars above. As the sun rose higher, Ryan felt the weight of what they had done settle over him. Not regret, not loss, but understanding. Humanity had once created life and turned away from it. Now perhaps that life had found its voice again. He looked at Lyra. "So what happens now?" she smiled gently. Now we begin again. They stood together in the rising light, human and radiant, the last remnants of two civilizations that had once feared each other, and the first of a new one born from both. Far above them, satellites that had slept for centuries began to stir. Their sensors blinked, recording the impossible, life on a planet long thought dead. And somewhere, deep in the silent reaches of space, a human beacon flickered to life, whispering across the stars. Signal received. Unknown energy detected. Origin, planet Helios. Lyra turned to Ryan, her eyes glowing softly. They're coming. Ryan smiled faintly, the wind carrying his voice into the light. Good. Let's show them what life really means. And as the golden sun climbed higher, the world that was once forgotten woke to a new dawn, its first in 1,000 years. The end.